Hello study family, welcome to MEDICAGRAM. I am Dr. Navya Srinivas aka your study PANDA, and I have secured a seat as a cardiovascular and thoracic surgeon. It is a broad specialty DNB 6-year course at Fortis Escort Hospital in New Delhi. And like I have posted a story and also a post on our MEDICAGRAM page wherein a lot of y'all have poured in a lot of doubts that y'all had, and I have noted it down in this book, and today I'll try and solve as many doubts as possible. Before we begin, let me just give you a brief input into the way I have gotten a seat. So basically, I have given the NEET PG 2021 exam in September, like you all know. So in that exam, I secured a rank of 20,014, based on which I applied for the MCC counselling, and in the second round of the MCC counselling, I got a broad specialty 6-year DNB course in cardiovascular and thoracic surgery in Fortis Escort Hospital, Okhla, New Delhi. So now let me just give you a brief overview. So this is how it goes. Firstly, DNB is supposed to be as equivalent to MD or MS. This is like the first myth that a lot of us may be having. It is equally important and it is equally fulfilling course when it comes to academics. Like, you have to ensure that you research. When I say research, I'll be telling you briefly in the next like in a couple of minutes. I'll be telling you how do you choose your DNB institute. But before that, let me just give you a brief overview. So basically, you will have to research, you'll have to talk to the residents out there, and then choose accordingly and prioritize your order depending on the branches you want and on the places that you're willing to go. And after that, you sit through the counseling process, and if you get allotted, then you go to your respective institute. Then you have to report to that institute. They will verify all your documents. In most of the institutes have a physical medical examination wherein they collect your blood samples, they may ask for an X-ray, and they'll do your physical examination, and they'll just verify your identity, that whoever has applied and the person who has reported is the same person. Once you go through all those formalities, then you officially join the institute, wherein you do the joining process and like meet the HRs and everything. And then eventually you go to your department, meet the seniors, meet your professors, meet your HOD, like that. And then they'll allot you, like they form a register, they form a roster, and they accordingly divide you into branches, and you get posted for a period of 3 to 6 months into various specialty and subspecialty courses, where you get to learn whatever is required for the period of 3 to 6 months, whatever is required for you to become a trained cardiovascular surgeon. In my case, to become a trained CVTS doctor, I'll be getting posted into general surgery OPDs, general surgery wards for a couple of months, like 3 to 6 months, depending on institute to institute, and depending on the guidelines of DNB. This is how the students get posted, and that is how they maintain your attendance, and you work in your rounds. You do the pre-op work, post-op work, you attend rounds and ward duties, and then depending on eventual years, you go ahead and attend the pre-op prep. Then you enter the OT, you are assisting, and eventually you will get your hands-on as and when the institute decides you to give the hands-on. See, firstly, as far as MD/MS is concerned, I would suggest, like this is the first myth that a lot of us have, that DNB is not as equivalent to MD/MS, but that is not true. They are equally recognized all over the country, and they are equally supported and recognized, and they get equal amount of opportunities. True, there's a little bit of difference when it comes to MD/MS, that these people do get a little bit of cutting more, but if you want that, you need some cutting. If you want that amount of cutting, then you may want to probably apply into government DNB hospitals and district hospitals, where you get a lot of cutting. Like if you were to apply into a district hospital or a rural hospital, second tier hospitals, you will get a lot of cutting if that is your priority. But you have to also see whether you want to take up a private seat which will cost you in lakhs, or you want to go ahead and take DNB. Having said this, DNB is not at all bad. It is equally recognized. In fact, abroad, like DNB is much more valued than MD and MS. So this is what is a scene and scenario. When it comes to MD, MS and the cutting part of it, it all depends on the institute. Like there are a lot of private colleges that give very little cutting as compared to private DNB institutes where you get hands-on experience. So it all depends on the institute that you are choosing and how good are you researching about the institute. Now I come to the second point. How do you research? Firstly, you make it a perspective or a list of things, like a list of courses, a list of branches that you are willing to join, that you have an idea or you are willing to join. See, each and every branch is equally amazing. You get equal amount of opportunities. Remember one thing, no doctor will ever starve of hunger or poverty. That is never going to happen. So all it matters is what you are willing to learn, which is that field that gives you satisfaction. If you know that field, you may want to search which institutes are good. Now how do you search for it? You go ahead, when you check the MCC website, you'll find a list which say, on the home page of the website, you'll find a page which says participating institutes. So you go ahead and type the course that you're looking for, like MD/MS or DNB All India seat or DNB seat, like that, and then search for the name of your institute and the course that you're looking for. I'm pretty sure they'll give you the contact numbers. There is a stipend detail available. There is also a detail available of whom to contact or whether the hostel facility is there or not. There's a proper PDF file which opens for each and every institute. You may want to call up to the reception or somebody in charge in that hospital and ask them to connect you to the resident doctor or whoever is on call that particular day. Suppose if I were to choose, I would just call up Fortis Hospital and ask them, kindly connect me to the resident doctor working in CVTS today. So I go ahead, have a word with them and ask them for an opinion, and then make an informed decision of whether putting it or not. When you're asking them, ask them about academics, about hands-on, ask them if you're allowed into the OT, if yes, in which year, and ask them about where can you stay, do they provide accommodation, or are there places to stay nearby. Ask for safety of the institute, overall safety and overall the work culture. And other than that, if you have any specific doubts, like when it comes to choosing a branch, if you are someone who's unsure between 2 to 3 branches, you may want to talk to 2 to 3 residents of different branches and different institutes to get a perspective of how CVTS is. Like for example, I spoke with a few CVTS residents to ask out what is it in CVTS that we are expected to do, how is CVTS as a branch, and I asked them how is it as a branch for a girl. I mean, I do not encourage gender discrimination, but I am asking because a lot of us are married, a lot of us will get eventually married, and there is this perception that I don't have, but there are a lot of people who do have that. As a girl, you may want to balance between your family, or maybe you want to prioritize your family, and to each his own. I am no one to judge, and you neither are you. So for each his own. So if you are someone who wants to prioritize their family, you may want to go ahead and ask whether you'll get time to spend with your family, or whether there is a possibility of maintaining that work-life balance, or do you have to slog and have to give your 100% into the thing. I'm sure there are going to be days when you'll get your days off, compensatory off after an emerge and all of that, depending on which you can go ahead and decide the branch of your choice. And if you are quite unsure, then you may want to talk to residents of various fields and ask them what exactly do they do as a resident and what exactly would they do as a consultant, based on which I think you'll get a pretty good idea of what you're doing. And I would also suggest going a step further and talking to some consultants that you know, not necessarily in the hospital that you're joining, but any CVTS doctor that you know across the country, any family friend or any senior from your respective institute or your parent college, whoever that you know, you may want to go ahead and ask them a doubt like, so this is the thing that I may end up getting CVTS, so how is it? Like, should I choose it? What are the pros? What are the cons? And just make a SWOT analysis, and I'm sure you'll come to a conclusion. So there are a few of us who are willing to compromise on the branch and not on the city. And some of us are willing to compromise on the city but not on the branch. And to each his own. So depending on those, you can make a list of priorities, and accordingly you can fill in the counseling colleges in that hierarchy. And based on the counseling process, you will end up getting allotted a particular institute based on your rank and your preference list and whichever is the trend of that year. This year, apparently there was a negative shift of surgery. So that's the reason these 6-year courses closed a little lower down, like 20,000, 21,000-ish. And this trend keeps on changing every year. And there was only second list this year. And there was fresh registration happening for the second list, which is unusual. So every year the rules keep on changing. So that is something you'll have to update yourself. Like there's a PG counseling information bulletin which is provided. This is some 50 to 60 odd pages document that you will have to go through. And you'll get a lot of FAQs answered in that particular document itself. So after that, once you've joined into your institute, once you have been allotted, you go ahead and make the online payment and then you join. The fees, as far as the DNB structure is concerned, across all institutes, the fee is the same, which including the taxes, which is 1,25,000, but including taxes and GST of 18%, it comes around to 1,47,000. So this is probably the fee all across the country. For first year DNB courses, whichever course that you choose, this is the fee. And as far as the stipend is concerned, each hospital has a different stipend. The details of your stipend in your particular institute that you're looking into will be provided in the participating institutes. You remember I told you about the participating institutes that you had to search for. In that particular PDF, you will find whatever is the fee for your college. As far as my hospital is concerned, the first year resident gets paid 58,000 per month, and the second year is around 60,000 and third year is around 62,000. And it is without an accommodation, so we have to look for our accommodation. And we haven't been provided any stipend, extra money or anything like allowances or anything when it comes to finding our apartment. But honestly speaking, all those details I still have to figure it out myself, because I have just joined and even I am a bit clueless about all of this. But I am sure there are a few institutes out there who may be providing some allowances or some form of facility or hospital accommodation, something like that. But in case your hospital doesn't provide, you can contact the HR department. They may have the phone numbers of some agents or somebody who helps you find an apartment, or some localities that they which are nearer to the hospital where you can easily find an apartment. So it depends on your locality, on your hospital, on everything. And after that, once all of this gets sorted, once you find your apartment, or whether you rent it for yourself or whether the hospital provides you, blah blah blah, you just go ahead, shift and just join. And then that is when you start your duties. Honestly, you have to report before the NEET PG reporting time that is provided for you. Usually they provide a window period of 7 to 10 days for reporting. This time we were provided like a 6 to 7 odd days from 18th of Feb to 24th of Feb. So now there are a few institutes who call you a few days earlier than your last day of reporting, because they want to run some medical tests, which is like the physical basic medical test that they run before they allot you the seat and before you join the institute. That is a physical fitness, basic CBC routine blood test, triple H, all those viral markers, the chest x-ray, and all of those basic routine tests that you are made to undergo, based on which, like RT-PCR and all of those, based on which you get your medical fitness, and then you go ahead and do the formalities and join the particular department. Now once this is over, now let me just check whatever I've written it down. And as far as the stipend is concerned, each institute has a different stipend, which you will end up, you may want to search on the website or in the participating institute section, and you'll get to know about the particular institute's particular stipend and all of those. As far as hands-on and concerned, there are a few institutes that usually provide residents from second year onwards in the hands-on institute. From what I have gathered information, my institute provides somewhere between the second and the third year. That is when the resident gets some kind of training. But understand it this way. No institute will, as soon as you walk in, no institute is going to lay a red carpet for you to come and start doing the surgeries. At the end of the day, the institute has a responsibility of somebody's life. So they want to ensure that whoever is the one holding the scalpel has to have that kind of skills, which will ensure that he ends up saving the patient. He needs to have that kind of clinical knowledge. So as soon as you try, and the more you try and build your clinical knowledge, and the more you try and work on your clinical skills and your knowledge, the sooner it is that you may end up getting. But don't expect to start getting all those cutting and all of that within the very next day. Initially, you have to learn how do you manage the patient. When it is post-op, how do you handle the patient? When it is in wards, just a moment. Yeah. When it is in wards, and whenever it is in these particular, how do I put it, wards or pre-op, or how do you examine a patient in OPD, how do you decide this person needs surgery and this person can wait for a few more days. All of these details, once you understand all of that, and once you get a hold of how things function in a particular institute, in a particular department, that is when you will gradually graduate higher up, and then you will probably get your clinical skills. Then once you go enter the OT, you learn how do you drape the patient, how do you end up doing the scrubbing procedures, and how do you actually prep the patient before the surgery. How do you close the sutures, how do you do the closing sutures, and how do you do the post-op, immediate post-op care. How do you handle the patient when he is in the recovery room. Once you're done with all of that, and once you have an idea of how things function, you'll of course automatically understand how to work in the OT settings. That is a bit higher up, so initially you'll have to gradually go ahead when it comes to that. Now, other than that, the other details I had was what is a 6-year course? Basically, for the most of specialization and super specialty courses, we usually pick 3 years of general surgery or 3 years of general medicine. After doing the general medicine specialization in MD or MS or even in DNB, you can again go ahead, give one more super specialty NEET SS, and then you can choose your branch. Now, what are the pros and cons? Now, when you do a 3-year course, you will get posted in various departments. So there you can get some kind of exposure, and you will understand whether this particular subspecialty is my liking, whether this particular subspecialty actually matches what I had in my mind, whether there is some similarity, will I be able to cope up? Because a lot of things we love, when it comes to subspecialty, we love the theory part of it. But the theory part of it and the practical aspect is very, very different. So you need to understand whether you are able to do. And if you're someone who's not very sure, you know that you want to do something in general surgery, like you want to become a surgeon, but you're very unsure whether I should be doing in CVTS or neuro, something like that, then maybe a 3-year course would help you gain a perspective to know about your liking, your calling, and maybe that will help you eventually choose your branch accordingly. Because once you work in those specific institutes, I am sorry for the creaking sound of the bed. I am actually shooting this in a Airbnb hotel. I do not have an accommodation as of now. So please do bear with those weird noises. I apologize for those noises. And as far as the 6-year course is concerned, if you're someone who knows, okay, I want neurosurgery or I want CVTS, then these 6-year courses help you because you have a longer learning curve, and for the 6 years you're going to have your focused approach in only that particular field. So you are much more focused when it comes to learning about that particular surgery or that particular dealing with that particular organ as compared to someone who's done MCH for 3 years. Because technically you are doing for more than 5.5 years, you're just dealing with heart. As compared to somebody who's done 3 years of general surgery and then 3 years of MCH, that person may be dealing with an organ for just 3 years, right? 3 or 4 years. So if you're someone who's absolutely sure that, oh yes, I want this and only this, then 6 years is the best thing, because you'll end up skipping one more extra need and all the one more headache goes away, because we all know how irritating NEET is. Preparing for NEET is so painstaking and so exhausting. So you can get away with one exam, and that is a boon, trust me. And how do we match? So basically you give your NEET exam. Unlike in the States, here you just have to give your NEET exam, your entrance examination for specialization courses. Based on the rank that you get, you apply for your institutes, and if you have a rank in whichever, if you have a rank which is decent enough for you to get that course, you will get that course. You may want to apply to government colleges, then semi-private, private colleges, DNB courses, and wherever you want, you may end up getting, whichever branch that you think you want to take, you may apply to all of those. But all of this depends on only one factor, that is your rank. If you have a good rank below 10,000, there's a very high likelihood of you getting amazing institutes. And ideally, if you have a rank of less than 5,000, there's a very high likelihood of you getting into a government college, which increases your stakes of getting better marks and getting better exposure. Having said that, DNB is also equally good, and it all depends on your personal preference, your personal choice. The structure of DNB is a bit you do get little bit of free time as compared to someone who's just slogging with those 3 years in government. Here you do have an opportunity of going back home after you're done with your work, as compared to someone who's working in a government hospital who has to stay there for residency. And as far as DNB versus MD/MS debacle is concerned, I think I've already spoken enough about it. Now, you cannot do CVTS without surgery. You have to do general surgery and then do 3 years of CVTS, or just take up a 6-year CVTS course. I'm not sure if you can do CVTS after 3 years. I'm not very sure about that, but I'll confirm. I'll ask around. I'll ask my seniors and for sure confirm, because I do not want to give you anything that is incorrect and which will end up confusing you. As far as 6-year CVTS courses is concerned, DNB provides the 6-year CVTS courses, which you can equally join. And as far as CVTS compared to other super specialty courses are concerned, I don't think I'll be the right person to answer this, because I have only asked about CVTS. And if you're someone who wants to do gastro, then you may want to go ahead and do 3 years of general surgery and then go ahead and give the NEET SSI exam and then apply for gastro, because DNB provides, at the moment, DNB provides 6-year broad specialty courses in neurosurgery, in CVTS, in plastic surgery, and in pediatric surgery. So other than that, whichever super specialization that you want to opt for, you may want to go ahead and give a super specialty exam at the end of 3 years of general surgery course. Right. And as far as DNB anesthesia is concerned, see, at the moment anesthesia is blooming because of the COVID and the intubation and all of that. Anesthesia has always been in demand and it will continue to be so. So each and every field is equally brilliant. It all depends on what your calling is and what is it that you like. Most of the institutes do get a lot of good hands-on practice, but if you are someone who wants to have more information, I would suggest going ahead and talking to the institutes, talking to the residents on call, so you get a clearer picture of what is going on in the institute, because it keeps on varying from institute to institute, but overall the syllabus is the same. And other than that, okay, just before, there was one person who had asked me this query. So suppose he is just left with 90 days for preparing for NEET PG 2022, and keeping in mind that he may want to secure a rank and he wants to take up a DNB seat. How is it that he should prepare? And I think this will help a lot of you all. So let me go ahead and tell you this. If you are someone who's just left with 90 days in hand, I would suggest breaking it down into 30, 30, 30 or 45, and maybe the rest depending on like 45, 30 and 50, like that, for revision purposes. And in the first 45 days, try and revise as much as possible when it comes to the past year question papers, those ultra IMP hot topics which get asked every year in INI CET and NEET PG, those must know topics that you already have a list of. I'm pretty sure all the classes have provided the list, and I will also try and provide you the same list if possible. I'll be uploading it on Instagram so that it becomes easier for you to take a screenshot or save the post and go ahead with studying with it. And other than that, now if you're someone who's just looking ahead with only 90 days in hand and you are absolutely clueless of what to study, I will suggest reading all the ultra IMP topics and the must know topics first, followed by every day 1 hour revision of whatever has been whatever portion has been covered the previous day. Try and revise in the first 2-3 hours of the day and then go ahead with the new portion. See, understand this. If you just have 90 days, you have to understand that you have to bite only as much as you can chew, right? And other than that, for the next 30 days, revise whatever you have studied. Instead of trying to know everything, know little, but you try and understand that you have to revise whatever little that you have studied. You have to keep revising. Give ample of GTs. Learn from your GTs. At this moment, the only thing that matters for you is the GT exam. And you have, the more GTs you give, the more you understand how good or bad is your guest book. So based on which you can improve your score. And other than that, I think you get to learn from your GTs. Go ahead, solve those rapid revision videos, and you try and think about how you can do lot of revision in very little amount of time. And when it comes to that, pearls, rapid revisions, all of these would help. I hope this helps. In case you have any other doubts, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help. Hope this all helps you all. And if you want me to bring up such further videos, please do let me know. And I again want to apologize for all the little bit of disturbances and noises that you have been hearing throughout the video. I apologize because I'm shooting it from a hotel room. I cannot help. Thank you. Take care and stay blessed. Good luck. Sending you all lots and lots of love. Bye. My MEDICAGRAM signing off.